Garden of Terror, map number 1. We are in the winner bracket final. Best of 5. So even in the group stage here at the Anniversary Cup, at the 10-year Anniversary Cup, we have actually a little bit of a mix when it comes to the format. So the earlier rounds are all best of 3, and then when we're heading towards the later matches of the group, when it really goes about teams qualifying for the next phase of the tournament, then we're heading into best of 5 territory, and this is the first best of 5 match right now. So Garden of Terror kicks us off. Exodia stack against Team Rip. This is a double elimination system that we have here for teams participating, and now we'll of course see what exactly they can do with this now, where this is going to be headed. But should be an interesting one for sure, because Exodia stack is a clear favorite going into this. Team Rip, on the other hand, had some really good success, and you could also argue that they have actually been surprising at times. So we'll see how much they can do here, heading now into this pretty tough game for themselves against the Exodia stack, who are not only a candidate to obviously make it out of the group stage, but also a candidate to win the entire tournament. So yeah, that's a pretty big one. By the way, we have 6 teams that are starting in the group, not 4. So it's a little bit of a different bracket approach here. But again, lots of matches, double elimination system from a bracket perspective, and which means that every single team that loses here still has a shot to actually, you know, go through the lower bracket, through the losers bracket, and still qualify for the next phase of the tournament. So all still early games that we have here. And well, with that said and done, we're now looking at our first set of bans. There's no draft restrictions, by the way, just as a bit of a side note. So there's no rules that a hero can only be played once or anything of the sorts. We also have, for the Anniversary Cup in total, prize money north of 3,000 euros. So there's actually quite a chunk of money on the line. And yeah, this entire thing is going to last for a while. So we're going to have this tournament with us for quite a few weeks here, with lots of content incoming. Lucio even prioritized as a first pick right now in this case, whereas for Exodia stack, we've seen a lot of Jimmy. I talked a lot about Jimmy already, and he has been a hero that has now been picked several times. We'll see how far this goes, but there is Reina again. So he is really the flavor of the month right now. And if you watched all of the previous matches already, you've seen that he was played with mixed success. Exodia stack obviously heading into a lot of these games as the favorite from the get-go, are oftentimes expected to win, even if maybe some of their draft choices are not perfectly ideal. Not saying that they can't make Jimmy work, but I'm really curious to see how this is all going to work out. Because at the end of the day, the question is, will Jimmy have an impact on the meta, yes or no? And, well, we're going to figure that out. Abathar and Muradin are now picked on the side of Team Rip. Crankle already a menace with Muradin, even if he doesn't get any symbiote support. Now, obviously, I would expect that somebody else is also going to get drafted for the Abathar copy and the symbiote, but Muradin himself, with symbiote assistance, is already insanely powerful. But yeah, the Jimmy pick, again, I talked a lot about this yesterday. I think per series, I should probably go over it because not everybody watches all of the games. But essentially, the downside of Jimmy was always that his survivability was really limited because he just doesn't have a good escape tool. He has a little bit of self-sustain, but that's already more or less it. You have a penetrating round to try and create a bit of space. But since there are so many mobility creep heroes, it became really difficult for him to survive. And you need a team that can peel for you. Now, obviously, other heroes that are ranged have gotten a couple of nerfs, so that makes him a bit more appealing as a sustainable damage dealer. But you still have to make him work, and teams are now trying to do that a lot. Dino has been leading the charge on this with his team, trying to make him part of the actual meta. And this is the first tournament where this is really now going to be playing out. But as I said before, with Exodia stack, you already have a team that is fairly strong to begin with. So it kind of taints the sample size a bit, but we have other teams now picking this up as well. He hasn't been banned yet or anything, and he has also, outside of the Exodia stack, playing him some limited success, a little bit of a hit or miss. So over the course of the tournament, and specifically when we're going into the later rounds, we're going to then figure out how impactful is he really in the meta. Is it just a thing that people are trying to make work right now, or is he actually something that will have a big impact on the meta with recent balance switches? But either way, we now have Greymane and we have Blaze on the side of the red team, so that's already good news again for Abathar. So we have the copy on Greymane, you have double Greymane, symbiote support for Muradin and for Greymane in the first place, Oriel even for Exodia stack, and that leads us to our final pick for game number 1 in the best of 5 series here at the winner bracket final. We get a global on this big map, Falstad is chosen by the blue team, and with that we are off to game number 1. Game number 1 with the Exodia stack. On the left, we have Hazorbs on Falstad. Yasu is playing Oriel for the blue team. Bad Benny back to business, and his little choo-choo train is rocking Garrosh. We have Bloodcool on Hogger, and then Dainu with Reyna. Now we're of course going to keep an eye on his build and see if he is going for the exact same build that they have already shown in the previous games. Over on the side of Team Rip, we have Krankle with Muradin, as he's playing Greymane. We got Basilisco on Lucio, Higao on Abathar, which is always nice. Abathar is in the house.
Hail to the king, baby.
And we got Sven on Blaze, last but not least. So, let's go. But I'm pretty sure actually that there's going to be a lot of people that are keeping track of statistics. We had pretty much for every single tournament people keeping track of that. And I think for me, probably the biggest benchmark to judge how much of an impact Jimmy is going to have is his win rate outside of the games where he's played by the blue team. I think that's what it essentially comes down to. Because it's just the fact that Exodia stack is, when it comes to the quality of players there, and also how they play, one of the best teams, and they can make a lot of things work that generally would probably not be mirrored by other teams. So we'll see at the end of the tournament how this all plays out. Dino, of course, now already trying to rock it. He's also going to be the one that is going to create a lot of the resources for Oriel in the first place. So that's going to be the first one. One of the things that definitely set him apart from some of the other players that have been using Reyna just yesterday is the cooldown reduction on level 13 for the penetrating round. Always trying to work around creating additional space for himself here and getting a few more penetrating round shots off. So we'll see if he goes for the same build again, but I don't really see a reason why he wouldn't. The one thing where I really have to say when we're talking about builds is that I've been quite skeptical, and I think rightfully so, about some of the stacking builds that we've seen from Jimmy when he was played in previous games here in the tournament. Most of those, actually all of those, didn't really work out, and the damage output that he had at the end of the day was mediocre at best. So I'm not sure if this is going to see any repetition, but yeah, I guess we'll see in the future. For now, as already expected, we have of course Behemoth Armor again as a level 4 talent. Good push at the bottom of the map, and Krankle, even with the support of Abathar, has to be careful and is already jumping out here. As we have, in addition to that, now Thick Skin for Greymane, we get Reverberation for Muradin. So Bronzebeard range likely incoming as a level 13 talent for him. And Falstad is dealing with that topside push, but it's really a bit of a problem. Hazu is retreating just in time, because with Abathar's symbiote help, that would have been a rude awakening for the bird. The wall already falling, and this is just the beauty of having Abathar early on. The one-on-one lane is a menace for whoever plays against the Abathar team. The downside is, of course, that you just don't have that extra hit point pool in any of the big fights, which means that on the objective, you oftentimes have to let things go and just accept that your opponent is going to be in a slightly better position there. So I think this is not going to be an exception to that rule. If you can pick up one of the earlier seeds, then that is actually fantastic. The goal is always that you don't have to struggle for the third one, so you want to either delay the seeds or make sure that you grab one of the early ones, because if your opponent is able to get a 2-0 lead on seeds and then gets also the early level 10, then you're essentially screwed and lose the first objective, and that might just snowball the game. Talking about potentially snowballing, they might be off to a good start if they're able to take Muradin out. So far he's surviving, waiting for his cooldown here, but no chance, he goes down. Lucio was trying to reach him, but just simply couldn't. So that's already a massive setback here. Losing the first one, so he's already out. Bit of bad news, nothing too insane yet. But of course, that gives more momentum now to the Exodia stack, who is just breaking through that bottom wall with no problem whatsoever. So structurally, both of the teams very active, trying to take some of those out. We got the Wizened Duelist now for Greymane, and we have on level 7 the Network Carapace. We've seen this actually a little bit more lately whenever it was chosen. Now the Slug does not get chosen as much as you would hope. Haha, beautiful kill against Lucio. Nicely done. Yeah, the thing about the Slugger is, honestly, we have to start a movement. Let's call it MAGA. Make Abathur great again. Because the Slug just doesn't get the respect that he deserves. But normally you would see Mule on level 7, but we have seen Network Carapace a little bit more often when he finally gets picked. Now, Exodia stack has already had an experience, and this is kind of mirroring what I explained earlier, that around the third objective, you want to make sure that your opponent doesn't have that 2-0 lead. But since everybody is delaying this a bit here, it means that by the time the third objective spawns, we very likely have level 10 on both sides. That's already a small potential crisis averted. But Exodia stack is just running like clockwork currently. They got their first 2 kills, they're a bit ahead in experience, they're going through the camps. They're not really just single-mindedly jumping on the objective trying to get those seeds, but they locked the first one in, and that's of course already a win for them. Now, Abathur sitting a little bit back here. We'll see how much he can actually do as the game continues, and as he gets level 10, which is obviously quite crucial when we're talking about Abathur performance in general. Even getting the Aegis here to save Jimmy, I guess. It was noteworthy that Jimmy became the focus point of the attention of the opposing team a lot in the games where he was played. And of course, this is kind of the strategy. You want to make sure that you burn him down as quickly as you can. So this could be something that we're going to see here today too. And Aegis would very much so help with that. But the top, already the next fight breaking out in that situation, as they're starting to do their thing here. Seed is still up, still the second one. Falstad not even bothering to join. Abathur is still sitting in the middle, and Falstad is just trying to push out the mid lane, get rid of the minions there, and get some extra XP. Shockwave is out, and Muradin is dead again. One additional kill with a beautiful gust from Falstad, as they're again moving in to kill Lucio, and that's 2 heroes down. They're trying to go for the next hit. This is Sven, pushed into a corner and eliminated. So 3 kills in total for the team here. Really, really well done, and a lot of momentum this early on for the blue team as they are starting to take control of the first game in the best of 5 series. Seed number 2 is about to be hit, so they're trying to claim this as well. Over here on the right side, we're having the next camp locked in, and it just gets worse and worse for Team Rip. They're having some serious problems here, as you can see. Abathur is trying with the Greymane copy to help out with defense, but Falstad is already on his way back down to the bottom of the map, lock in even more experience for the blue team, and they are just moving from one mercenary camp to the next right now. And to give you a bit of an idea, when we're just talking about the mercenary experience, about the minion experience, so it's still fairly even. There is of course a lead that is starting to really come through for Exodia stack, but the blue team is also pushed back at the top because there is a bit of an invade happening from their opponents. So as you can see right there, a bit of an aggressive play from the red team, just like trying to make their moves and just attempting to not fall into a totally passive stance where they are only reacting to whatever the Exodia stack is doing, but actually also attempting to set some of the agenda points, and these quick rotations to pressure a camp is just one of them and steal those away. So they're still behind experience, but it is bridgeable. The lead in talents for Exodia stack, that's on the other hand, of course, a pretty nice little side effect for them. We have 12 stacks by now also for Jimmy on the Behemoth armor, so some extra hit points. And he has already expected line him up for the cooldown reduction that they're going to try to use to create additional space. 2 tributes, 2 seeds to 1 at this point in time. And, well, when that's said and done, here another stun combo off against Garrosh, but he turns it on Muradin, who again starts to jump out. Crankle, can he get away? Locks the Stormbolt in and gets the assist from Lucio this time to move back to safety. And yep, that's exactly where he is right now. So 5 kills, 2-0, and the push for the bottom fort, which might actually fall if they're really aggressive about it. But since everybody on the red team is here too, and Abathur uses his copy, there's more than enough AoE clear to ensure that they can save the fort. Abathur, of course, trying to do a little bit more with the copy before it expires or gets taken out. get some additional hits in. When we're talking about the damage output, Abby is sitting with 16,000 at the top of the bunch on the red team side. But over on the blue team, the Exodia stack currently with 20,000 damage, 21,000 damage for Jimmy. So potential seed number 3 for the blue team has now spawned at the top left. There's still the global effect that we have through Abatha and through Falstad that we have to watch out for a bit. But Hogger is already rotating topside to deal with the waves, and once that's done, they can start and focus their attention over towards the seed itself. And that is something where the red team will have to make a move, unless they are just accepting what's going on here, and it seems like that's the case. They're not fighting for it. Position is just too good for Exodia stack and too close, so the first garden terrors are coming down, and this should cost the red team some structures. Up to now, not a single fort has been destroyed. They're all still in play, so this is where we're going to see the first one fall, slowly but steadily. And, well, at this point in time, it's the mid lane that everybody is focusing on. The Garden Terror at the top is most likely going to take the structure out. At the bottom, it's inevitable that it's going to fall. So there's even a chance that 3 forts fall, but defense in the middle is strong enough to at least save this one. But they're going to lose the rest, most likely. So the stun already starting to kick in down here. And even with Blaze defending, the rotation is already on its way, and Sven has to be careful that he doesn't get killed as well. So yeah, he needs to bunker up even. Benny is for a moment thinking about trying to move to the side to maybe flank in, but not quite pulling that one off. The level 16 talents are ready. More synergy for Jimmy also with Paint them Red now. We have Oriel with the Reservoir of Hope on the first 2 stacks that she was able to grab here. And they're going again for Blaze, and he's dead. Cooldown already used earlier on his bunker, so no chance to escape. 6 kills to 0. Team Rip is still waiting for their first kill in this game. And they just can't get that. Just don't have a chance to make that work. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate for them. But we'll see. Currently, the next attack is already coming through towards the middle as they are hoping to destroy the final fort out of the 3 that are standing there. Falstad with a gust, but that didn't work out. Muradin is still able to jump away. The fort is gone though. So the fort is getting destroyed. That one is already out. And then in addition to that, they have by now a full level lead that they call their own. Damage output of Jimmy is currently sitting at 28,000. And, well, we have 21,000 for Abatha. So, the birdie up at the top, taking the next camp here. More pressure, the better. But down at the bottom of the map, again, this is something I already called out a bit earlier, that the red team is trying to create these opportunities. They are on 16 talents now, so they're starting to move in and take the next camp. They've been successful with this a couple of times already. So, pretty well done. Yeah, nice little move by them. Hazorps though, is this the first kill for them? And the answer is yes. The bird is dead. Nicely done and well played. They are able to lock that kill in. And maybe now in the 5 versus 4, they are able to gain a bit momentum and slowly bring this back. They are still not really behind in experience. It's a half-level lead for the blue team. So despite the fact that all of these forts have fallen, the passive experience that has now increased for the Exodia stack hasn't really snowballed so hard that it would be a huge unbridgeable problem. So this is still something that they can recover from. It's not been an easy game for Team Rip, but they're doing what they can here to stay in this and to maybe bring this through with the late game. Now, down at the bottom of the map, that's when now having more siege giants about to be claimed. Blue team debating whether they should actually go in and try and take this. So far, not happening. But I really like how we have these experience gains. And it is largely because of the minion experience that gets picked up. I mean, this is really where the big advantage comes in. Plus, the mercenary experience is actually better for the red team. The rotation towards the top helps them quickly to take a fort out too. So nicely done. It's actually one of the beautiful things when you're running Lucio, for example, with Greymane. You can out-rotate your opponent oftentimes. Just try to get onto a lane, get onto a structure. and then take that out. Down at the bottom of the map, in the meantime, having the defense from Blood Cool set up here as well. And, yep, not too shabby. So, top side, still the next little push coming in. And still Lucio scouting, hiding out here. Crankle is also making a move through the bushes. They're hoping to go for the bird again. This is really the weakest target. You have obviously Fawcett on the side lane, so he's a juicy target to begin with. And then he's also one on the squishy side, so if you get the jump on him, you're more or less guaranteed to lock another kill in. But talking about kills, here comes the next attack. Muradin is already on his way back out. So over here, the focus on the copy of Abathar. That one's already out, but again, the assist with the level 7 talent as they're trying to get a few more shields through in that fight. Jimmy is down, so is Lucio though, meaning the healer is gone. Nice whip from Yasu, perfectly connected here. And they try to get that seed, and currently it looks like they will be able to pull that off. False stat! Ah, he just gets the interrupt. That was a clutch one, but he's able to pull that off. So Sven is already moving back out, and the blue team is refocusing their efforts onto the seed, and they will claim this one. They're so close to level 20 that it's also a very unappealing fight for Team Rip. They don't want to be caught by this, but now they have to bridge that experience gap, which is easily done. 1-2 minion waves is all that they need to get their own level 20 talents. Oriel by now with the Shield of Hope, and we have Hive Mind for Abathar. Still waiting for a couple of the abilities here, of course, specifically looking over to Muradin, who's likely going to go into Rewind, I suppose. We have Tooth and Claw now for Greymane, so he's really fully speccing into the Worgen form at this point. Yeah, and the next seed is already a little bit like on the horizon here. With the stun on the power spike, we now have also a bit more cooldown reduction. 20 versus 20 talents. And again, I gotta stress this. The blue team is not as far ahead as it initially might have seemed. But they are the ones that are calling most of the shots here. So, there's that. But here comes the channel. So, they have another objective. This is the second objective in the row now for the Exodia stack. So, they have two objectives here. Garrosh, on the other hand, gets caught and killed. That's unfortunate, because this is going to make the defense on the Garden Terrors just so much easier now for Team Rip. Benny dying is definitely not good news. So, yeah, Bad Benny gets removed, and that should make this an easy defense. I would be surprised at this point if they would lose a keep here, which is obviously the stated goal already to make all of that work. So, yeah. But, well, for now, we're having the bot lane defended, the top lane, that's something where they still have to make a move here and do the same thing. And, yep, here comes the next little play. First they're taking Reyna's Raiders out, and then they are going for the hero himself. 35,000 for Jimmy. He's not top damage in the game, but top damage on the team. Greymane has started to eclipse his output. Top side, next play already about to be made, as the final Garden Terror still has to be defeated. But the red team is already getting busy in the middle. They're leaving Blaze and Abathar back up to defend against the objective, which they've now successfully done. But they are getting busy in the middle of the map. It would have been pretty amazing for them to also get an objective, honestly. I'm curious to see if this is going to happen now, because at this point in time, we actually have... I mean, the only difference are the two forts that are standing here. This is really the only difference that we currently have with this. So, yeah, should be... This could come down to the last fight. It should be a pretty interesting thing to be planned out now. Because right now, here comes the next little attack. They're trying to get Fawcett involved again. The gust angle may be a little bit off here. But already the red team just restarting their efforts to chase them down with Lucio. So that's exactly what's happening. They're chasing, they're forcing. Can they win it? They need to win that fight, but it doesn't look good. Lucio's already down, even with the bunker being played out here. This is starting to backfire against them, and the blue team is trying to clean all of this up. They got Muradin over on the left side attempting to escape. Grayman has just been taken out a second ago. And now Krankle is on the chopping block. And if they can take him as well, that is going to be a massive staggered death. And that's what they're working for. Avatar is out. We have a seed spawning. Muradin just hopping around, getting a little bit of support from Symbiote. And I guess they're realizing that this isn't happening. The rest of the blue team has already moved over towards the right side in an attempt to ensure that they can take down the wall and maybe also drop the first keep of the game. But this is getting wild. Top side, there is, by the way, a camp and a catapult. Muradin obviously not helping out here. He's going back, attempting to defend. And this is exactly where they've now had it. But that keep is dropping, and it's dropping quickly. Since 2 heroes are missing, their chances of defending it are very low. But the red team is not interested in only taking the... the blue team is not only interested in taking the keep out. They want to go for the core here. Grayman is back in 5 seconds though, and I'm not sure if they got enough time. The shield is already gone, so that's a good first step, but they haven't fully worked this out yet. Grayman is back to business. The core is at 86%, but it seems like they will have to retreat for now. Bunker is out on the ground. Lucio moved around to ensure that he doesn't get picked off, but that's again the Exodia stack on the way back out of the fight. Bit of a chase from Lucio. I'm not sure if they can really force this, and there's always the chance of the blue team turning and trying to catch somebody off guard as they are maybe overstepping. But for some reason, Team Rip is still in play. Team Rip is still in play and potentially able to turn this one. They're not giving up. They really clawed their way into this, and they are absolutely unwilling to give an inch. They are holding their ground here. They're really fighting this out. We're 21 minutes into the game already, and these guys are fighting tooth and nail here. So great effort by them, but is it gonna be enough? That's the big question. Once again, the attack coming in as they're making the move. Here comes the Gust into the corner. Muradin down, Muradin gone, and he's not the only one. They're losing Greymane, they're losing Blaze, and they're losing way too much. Hope is about to be lost too, as Lucio is the only survivor next to Abatha. But that fight and the Gust into a corner was just too much for them to handle. Now Lucio gets caught and killed, so he's also eliminated. And this just makes matters worse right here. Huge problems for the team in red. They held on for an enormous amount of time. I mean, exceptionally well done, honestly. Massive survival instincts, but they are not able to win game number 1. They're not able to turn it around. It is the Exodia stack that takes the lead in the best of 5 series with a W on Garden of Terror. Nicely done, GG, and well played.
Before we head into game number 2, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, so you don't miss out on any future content here on Khaldor TV.
Map number 2, Sky Temple. Exodia stack taking the lead in the best of 5, but well fought by Team Rip. They did a solid effort trying to turn game number 1 around, but the last fight was just not great for them. Gusted into a corner. They didn't really have a chance to survive there and got fully wiped, or nearly fully wiped, and then the core finally fell. But it was a hard-fought battle, and the Exodia stack had to go deep on this. So now that we're heading into game number 2, we'll see how they adapt to this. Sky Temple is the map, and again the reminder that all the heroes are still available, so there is no crazy shenanigans around draft rules. Just straight up tournament rules, nothing crazy here. And here in Group A, the goal for all of the teams is obviously to make it out of the group so that they can head straight into the playoffs. Keep in mind that we also have a lower bracket part in this group stage, so if a team loses now that we are here in the winner bracket final, then there's no real problem for them. They can still qualify. They're not out of the tournament yet, so not directly eliminated or anything of the sorts. Sylvanas gets banned out, and we get a ban on Chromie as well. But I personally still want to see what the damage output is going to be on Exodia stack. They're going to try and use Jimmy whenever they can, I suppose. Somebody has already jokingly said earlier that Dino has turned into a Jimmy one-trick pony, and I suppose it's to an extent true. And whenever you have someone getting into the head with like a new hero, a new idea, you see that played a lot. That has also been the case for Benny for a while, when there were tournaments where he essentially played nothing else but Varian, like time and time again whenever they got it. So I believe it's only going to be a matter of time until people start banning out Jimmy against Exodia stack just because they're so annoyed with it. But we'll see. For now, first pick time, of course. Seeing Abathar banned on the... Oh, nice! Vikings! Awesome! A round of applause here. Good shit. We get the Vikings locked in on Sky Temple first pick so that they can't get banned out by the opponent. But yeah, absolutely love that. So, cool stuff. With that, we're now looking at Vikings first. Abathar has been banned, which on the one hand makes me happy because he's finally getting acknowledged as a real threat. On the other hand, every single Abathar ban also means that we don't get to see an Abathar game. So that's on the sad part about it. But yeah, we'll see what they can now do on this with the Vikings on Sky Temple. I mean, that's a commitment. Sven has obviously played Vikings before. It's not the first time that we're seeing this from him. But making such a commitment on the first pick to immediately say, hey, this is going to be a Viking game for us is quite something. So, Lucio gets picked together with Hogger. Oriel and Garrosh. Okay, more and more Oriel gets played. We've already seen that trend in the Underdog Cup as well. I mean, the one thing that Blizzard has now done throughout the last couple of weeks is to just throw out the occasional patch every couple of months that just impacts the balance a little bit. We didn't really get any new content in that sense, but what we're definitely getting is small tweaks and adjustments on certain heroes, which either change that hero directly so that it's playable, or make other heroes weaker, that all of a sudden heroes that have maybe been overlooked in the past become an actual alternative. So that's something. Vala gets banned. Yeah, there's obviously the Oriel factor, so you need some kind of battery for her to just generate the hope, and Vala would be a tool to be used in that context. So far so good here. Now, with that said, final ban for Team Rip. So what are they going to get rid of here now? Jimmy Van incoming. It's going to happen eventually. Maybe not right now, but it is definitely going to happen at some point. It is Johanna, though, that gets banned. They don't have a tank yet, so yeah, they don't want to deal with Jojo. It would actually be funny if they don't pick Jimmy, Exodia stack, and then all of a sudden we have Team Rip taking it, because that would very much mirror the same draft, nearly, that we've seen on the previous game from the blue team. But there's obviously with Garrosh also the option to go for Zarya. If you really want to go for a super powerful 4-man and have the Vikings run the sideshow, then you could go down that path too and play Garrosh Zarya here. But then you still need a very strong auto attacker. So with Sergeant Hammer locked in for Exodia stack, now the big question, what is Team Rip gonna do? They need that not only to support Oriel, but of course they need somebody that can really pack a punch so that they have a chance to fight through these team fights before the Vikings become an actual threat after they get utility at level 16 and can also start to stun out people. There's Zarya, and we get Orphea. Okay, so the Garrosh Zarya combo together with Orphea. Alright, color me intrigued. Let's see if that works out for them. That's definitely a Viking comp right there. I kind of like it. It's out of the box. It's not really what I expected here, but I certainly will take it. So good stuff. The final pick for Dainu. Bit more damage is needed. They already have one auto attacker with Sergeant Hammer, and Dainu locks in Falstad. Bit of a swapperoo probably going to happen here, so we get the birdie for the second time in a row. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're heading into Sky Temple. Game number 2. Exodia stack is in the lead, ladies and gentlemen. Able to win the first map, able to take it on Garden of Terror, as we are straight up headed into our second game. We have on the left side in blue the Exodia stack with Hazorbs on Sergeant Hammer, Dainu this time on Falstad. Bad Benny with the Legion of Beetles is playing a Nubarak for the blue team. We have Blood Cool on Hogger and Yasu on Lucio. As over on the right side, we get the Garrosh and Zarya combo with Higao playing Zarya. We have Garrosh played by Krankle, Basilisco on the support playing Oriel for the team as he is on Orphea, and Sven is rocking the Vikings. So it is a Viking time once again. Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting game for sure. Vikings are always fun to watch, especially when you have a Viking player that knows what he's doing. Sven obviously has quite a bit of experience with the hero, and we'll see how much they can do with this now. If they can claw their way back into the series, or if it's going to be a 2-0 lead for Exodia stack in this best of 5 series, as they're obviously hoping for. Time will tell. At the bottom of the map, Already have Zarya getting some extra shots on her with the shield to get the energy so they can do some damage, and they are starting to break through that bot lane. Whereas up at the top, Sergeant Hammer is already taking down one wall completely, so they're trying to repay them in kind at the bottom of the map, and it's essentially coming down to a bit of a race between the two teams here. So we'll see how far this goes, if they're actually heading straight for the forts as well, or if they're going to stop there. And as it seems, we're going to get a very much accelerated game. If you have at the beginning just teams going for trades in structures, as we're seeing here, it just accelerates the game. You have catapults spawning a little bit sooner on Sky Temple. There's of course then also less targets for the objective itself as all of this plays out. So it's making for a faster game and a very, very action-packed one normally too. So top side and bot side we have one fort eliminated each, and now the rotation potentially towards the middle, but there's also a camp to be claimed, and this is the first thing that Team Rip is now aiming for. So, this one taken. By now, what are we getting as the next play? Now, there is obviously a double temple about to spawn, middle and top lane, for the first rotation of the objective. Level 4 talents are also kicking in a little bit faster for Team Rip, since the Vikings have been holding on to the lane experience while all of this played out. But the blue team is not too far behind. We have Indomitable, as usual, for Garrosh. And with that trade in structures already, some extra pressure at the bottom of the map, also facilitated through those siege giants that have been taken. I think Sven is going to lose Eric though. Olaf. Yeah, Olaf is about to go down. Okay, and in the middle, talking about Eric. I guess he makes it, but it was also a close call. So, first objective is about to pop up. Nice! That was glorious! What a beautiful kill, honestly. That was really nice. Check this out again. The flip and then the wall stun. That was just excellent. 1, 2, 3, and boom. That's the end of Lucio. First blood in the game, but that was extremely well played by them. So a nicely executed first kill, just as the objective spawns. Good timing for them too, thanks to that. And therefore the chance to take some additional structures out very easily up at the top. Hazu with Sergeant Hammer is trying to do his best in order to push this back. But yeah, very little chance of that happening. And if they are now able to get more damage in on that fort with the help of the heroes themselves, then even better for the red team. So they're already on level 7 and have that talent advantage. And this fort is gone. In the middle of the map though, the same thing is now playing out as Dino is trying to eliminate this. But the temple has been taken over by Team Rip, so they're getting even more shots fired at this point. And this is actually looking really, really good for Team Rip. They're doing lots of structural damage right now, even damaging the mid lane fort. Falstad has not been able to take the fort in the middle. He's insanely close, and this will of course fall. Somebody's going to move in and drop it. But still, nicely done by Team Rip, holding on to it for just a little bit longer. Yasulo! But there's the first kill against the red team. They're losing Garrosh, he's gone. So Exodia stack is showing a few teeth here. They're definitely showing that they're not just going to lie down and take this. They're going to fight this back. We have at the bottom of the map the Vikings still rotating, of course, consistently throughout all of this. In the middle, yep, the Nubarak was the one to move in and take the fort out. That had to happen. And the big question resulting in this is just simply who's going to be able to claim the objective at the bottom of the map and will eventually pull ahead here. Because currently we have on each side still one fort standing. So that's all that they still got here. One fort still standing for each team. Boss is coming up in 5 seconds at the 5-minute mark. In the meantime though, they want another kill and they are not getting a kill. No! Lucio did such a great job trying to keep a Nubarak alive. And then it's Zarya with that last little particle grenade that comes in and takes him down. And they instantly focus on the boss that just spawned next to them. The death timers are mega low, of course. But because of the positional advantage that they had at that point in time, they can easily go for it. Now, Gust is ready, so technically they could try and make a cheeky move. But it's not going to happen. Too much of a risk. Opponent would also try to play around it, of course. So what we have instead is a boss claimed and the objective spawning. So the boss is either going to do damage or provide a bit of cover so that they can get additional shots from the temple at the bot side. Things are still looking good for the red team. They're nearly a level ahead now, and not quite. Let's make it half level. But another whip. Garrosh also trying to deal with the Nubarak here. Already get the cocoon out. Aegis! Next ult, and Zarya is eliminated. Zarya is gone. That's a 5 versus 4. They ignore the boss for now. The Vikings are still holding control over the bottom temple, so this needs to be ripped away from them. That's what they're trying to do here. But here comes the next play for Lucio, and he's dead. They try and get the counter kill on Krankle, but the heal for Oriel is a little bit too much for them to deal with. So as it happens, it's 3 kills, 2-3. This is even. Very, very even. Sven loses Olaf. Shots are now finally taken. I'm not sure if that 4 down here is going to fall. But yeah, here comes the next play. They're going in to try and take Sergeant Hammer out. And that's working perfectly for them. And Nubarak is also dead. That's 5 kills to 3 now. They're getting the birdie. That's 3 heroes down in that encounter. Exodia stack is having some actual problems here. They have some serious problems. They're 1.5 levels behind now. And they're losing more structures. This Viking composition with Garrosh Zarya for Team Rip is working incredibly well currently for the red team. So Team Rip is doing a fantastic effort here, trying to come back into the series. And it just seems that the Exodia stack wasn't ready for this. The commitment to the Viking composition was a huge one, considering that they actually went in there and took the Vikings as literally their first pick, just saying, we don't care if you know what we're trying to do. We're not attempting to be sneaky around this. We just need the Vikings, and we're going to show you how it's done. And up to now, at least, this is exactly what's been playing out here. So, very nicely played by Team Rip. Obviously, the Exodia stack is a team that's strong enough that should never count them out. But this is a fantastic start into game number 2 for the red team. And a potential chance to equalize the score in this best of 5 series. So, we'll see how far they can get with this. But kudos. That's already a beautiful effort that they're currently pulling off here. Now, down at the bottom of the map on the bot lane, we have Hazu slightly flanked here. Garrosh has to be careful though. Nubarak is diving in. Again, another whip from Vasilisco. Really nice plays from him. On the utility side, he's been doing a lot for the team. Now with the next quick attack, we already have Falstad flying back in. They're attempting to isolate Garrosh. Good gust, and there's the kill. Making sure that Oriel has no chance of using an Aegis. But they also have to be careful with Yasuo. Don't want to lose anyone now. We have 16,000 damage for Orphea, 24,000 for Girl Sergeant Hammer. And now that there is a little bit of momentum for the Exodia stack in the 5 versus 4, they are hoping to destroy the fort at the bottom of the map. But the Vikings are already pushing at the top side. So for the blue team, it's all about leveraging Sergeant Hammer now as best as they can. So that's what they're currently trying to do here. Just push in for that and drop this. It's not really working out though. They get some damage, but just not enough. And Garrosh is now back. And the problem is the level 16 talent for Team Rip. The Vikings are just delivering on the experience. They are 100% are. On the experience side, the lead is just getting wider. And that's a problem. Sergeant Hammer with the Hyper Coolant engines on level 13. Siege Giants are taken as they're starting to move back out here. And of course, let's not forget, Large and in Charge is now also a part of the game. So with the Vikings having the additional stun, this could be big. Keep at the bottom of the map is about to go down thanks to the Vikings controlling the bot lane temple. And all the way up at the top, Nubarak is holding on to this, which will damage the keep here a little bit, I suppose. But it's nowhere near the amount of damage that is currently being done by the red team. Now, the blue team not looking for a fight just yet because they don't have level 16 talents. So they're trying to be a bit more sneaky about this and just a little bit slower. But they attempt to force the fight before that talent kicks in. So, yep. Let's have a look. Because right now, we're having immediately a play made for the boss at the bottom of the map. And if the blue team does not figure that out, and I don't think they will, the core is gonna be attacked. I mean, they must know what's going on here. They decided that they can defend with Falstad, or they're just racing. Those are the two options. Either they're racing, they're just racing, they're going for the core here. They're actually going for the core. They're going for the core. Boss is not taken yet. They are not going to take it. They're barely going to grab it. Boss is about to be grabbed. The core, on the other hand, is getting attacked here. What? The Gust, not strong enough. The Gust was actually pretty weak. They're losing 2 heroes already. They might still be able to take the core out. Not quite sure what happened around that Gust, but that did not look good from Dainu. And now it's 24% on the core. Full 5-man team wipe. And that is the end. I didn't quite catch what happened with that Gust, but the second that I looked at it, I just saw how a minion wave got gusted away, which is definitely not what you want to do. So either the Gust was really well dodged, or something completely screwed up Dainu, or he just, yeah, had a brain fart. But that was something that, of course, was needed when the entire red team was there to defend. It might have just bought them enough time to end this successfully. 24% is not a lot, but as it happened, that didn't work out. So 11 kills to 5, and this is a win. Team Rip with a victory on Sky Temple. Nicely done. GG, well played, and we got a tie in the series. Third game in the best of 5 series, Tomb of the Spider Queen. So, Exodia stack against Team Rip. Yeah, I talked already a bit about this during the 2 games, but I'm not sure what happened with Falstad's Gust there. I would have to really go back and check that out. There's obviously a couple of like things that could have happened. Somebody suggested that Garrosh used Indomitable, but it seemed a bit weird to use the Gust in that situation in the first place. Sergeant Hammer, of course, having a few tools to escape herself. But Gust could have used also a bit later. But the end result was apparently that nothing was really affected. And with 25% left on the core, there's always going to be that question. Would have been different if Gust would have been held back a little bit. And also, what happened with the Nubarak's Cocoon? So, as I jumped in, I just couldn't get all of that in the same moment. But the end result is that we have a third map coming up with a tight score between the teams. So, Team Rip was able to win a map. And that's good news for us, meaning that we get at least 4 games out of this series. But also the Exodia stack looking a bit vulnerable on the last one. I think it will likely result in Vikings being banned on certain maps more often against Sven. That has already happened in the past on maps like Tomb of the Spider Queen, Tower of Doom, for example. But now others will most likely be added to that. Right now, we're heading into Tomb though. And I want to see what happens with Exodia stack in their draft. They didn't have Jimmy last game. This is the main reason why they lost, obviously. No Jimmy, no win, as we all know. It would be interesting to see them take him again. Now, normally when we're talking about Tomb of the Spider Queen, you want to have, of course, a couple of heroes that are really good at interrupting turn-ins. Jojo is a high priority, Hanzo, Junkrat, Mephisto, all heroes that you see a lot on this map. Johanna, in this case, an immediate first pick. She brings the wave clear. She has the interrupt potential against a turn-in, and the more you have to interrupt your opponent from getting to the objective, the better. Especially when those heroes generally just vibe with everything else too. So we'll see what they can pull off here, what kind of draft comes together, what damage dealer we're gonna get for both of the teams. Team Rip, definitely with a bit of momentum now after they locked the win in on Sky Temple. We get Blaze, and there's Junkrat. So another good example, Junkrat with all the grenades they can throw out is of course great to just move in and interrupt people as they're attempting to turn in. In addition to that, you also have a lot of utility coming from the hero, with the placement from the mines alone over to the traps. There's a reason why he's also getting played fairly regularly with someone like Stitches, so that he can, after Gorge, just deposit that hero into a trap, and then everybody can just pile up and take him down. Blaze as a side laner, but we get Dino and Dino Tracer and Malfurion now. So Tracer Malfurion, obviously a very popular comp because he can go for the quick overheal. And yeah, that's a different approach here, but I like it. And a good start into the draft for us too. There's going to be a lot of action, for sure. With that said, Team Rip, what are they banning in this case? They could ban outside laners, if they want to give Blaze a bit of an easier time, for example. And the ban goes to Hanzo. No Hanzo here. So if you want to have interrupts, then you will need somebody else. Hanzo also gives the vision, of course. So there's another one. Nah. Variant together with the Blaze, Jet Propulsion Stun, Junkrat Utility could have locked the target into a pretty heavy CC chain, and that's, yeah, with all that crowd control, a bit too much to handle. So, what are we going to get from Team Rip instead? When it comes to tanks, there's still plenty around. You could go for Diablo, could still go for like Garrosh and a couple of the other heroes that they had before. If they want to dive, Anubarak is always available, if that's more the idea. But they go for Genji and Rhaegar first. So, Rhaegar for the heals, gets the burst heal out, and then we get Genji. So, have to add a little bit more Overwatch. The more Overwatch, the higher your chances of winning, of course, as we all know. But what is Krankle going to pick as the last weapon, as the front liner for them? When it comes to the blue team, Yasuo is now going to have the root, and there is indeed Jimmy. So now they're going for Jimmy again. They have won most of the matches where they play Jimmy, and then they don't pick him once, and all of a sudden it's a loss. It's a clear indicator that you have to go back to the basics and go straight for the next auto attacker. So Jimmy is back to business, and we have Tracer together with him for all the DPS, whereas Krankle as the final pick for the team now has to figure out how he wants to deal with all of that. They have stuns, they have damage, they have the utility here as the front layer. They go for Mei. It's getting frosty in here. Tomb of the Spider Queen, this is the third map in the series. We have a best of 5 on our hands. And now the question, who pulls ahead? So, let's go. Game number 3 in the best of 5. The series is tied. We are on Tomb of the Spider Queen. We have a bit of a swap going on in heroes. For the first time since the tournament started, it is actually not Dino who plays Jim Reyna, but it is Hazorbs. Dino himself on Tracer this time. As we're heading into our third map, we have Yasuo and Malfurion. Bloodcool is playing Dehaka, and Bad Benny is playing Johanna for the team, securing the front line. As over on the right side of the map, we have their opponents. We have the red team currently playing this one out with, well, Sven on Blaze. As we have our side laner, we have Silisco on Rhaegar, we get Azzy on Junkrat, Krankle on Mei, and Higao is playing Genji in game number 3. So, already a little bit of a fight happening down here with Malfurion laying down the lawn and locking Mei in for just a second. I was actually talking yesterday already about Higao's mount. Like, that reindeer is fugly as hell. So, yeah, I don't like it. I let it slide during Christmas, just for the Christmas spirit. But it's just not looking good. It's also the middle of summer. I mean, this is animal abuse. Seriously. We have already 30 degrees outside, and you can't tell me that the reindeer is going to be happy about that. So I don't think that's okay. But either way, Bird Boy is going for the heals again. Malfurion has Johanna, and everyone else on the red team is rotating between the lanes and trying to also, of course, take advantage of all of the AoE that she brings to that rotation. Rhaegar with the lightning shield helps out. Body blocks out of this world. Damn. Krankle makes it out, but woof. That was close, my friend. Now Jojo might have gone a little bit too deep. Is she going to get punished? Seems like it. Bad Benny is still alive. Barely. So first they went for Mei. Nearly took her out. And then it was just a quick turn on Johanna. So the tanks are the full focus. Jojo, by the way, has gone into Laws of Hope. I've been talking a lot about this talent in the context of the Underdog Cup, for example. So that one kind of important. If you play on a big map where you have a lot of globes like you have on Tomb of the Spider Queen, then it can be absolutely perfect to go for Laws of Hope here. It's not really the standard talent on Johanna, but if you're extremely diligent just moving between the lanes and getting those globes, then you can get a huge amount of self-sustain with the talent, and that takes some of the pressure off of your healer who can focus on other heroes here. So something to really keep an eye out as we are progressing through all of this to see how much Johanna is able to do here. If you are able to grab some additional mercenary camps, of course, it's just going to increase your numbers. But yeah, Jojo, Benny, he's going to move through this quite a lot. He's already sitting at 6 stacks, so a diligent early game by him and just going very disciplined through the motions. They have to start defending in the middle though. Both of the teams have taken the mercenary camp and now playing this out. So this is going to be a next big step here. Down at the bottom of the map, Dehaka all alone. And there were already a few attempts to try and go gank up on him. He's also been able to waddle his way back out of the fight. Jimmy still firing away. He has gone into Behemoth armor, so it's the same build that Dino has been executing the entire time. And, well, with that, we have on level 4 Subdue for Johanna. Sitting at 8 stacks right now. So 8 stacks for her. Same time now. Top side, the slide, and the full-on coordination for Jimmy. And that's the end. He's going there for a Bruno Mars cosplay and catches a grenade or two from Junkrat. And that is the end. So, Jimmy gone. First blood in the game. Team Rip with a pretty good move here. So, yeah, nicely done. First turn-in for the blue team is nearly completed, though. Nobody's interrupting Blood Cool either. So, yeah, red team, no luck, no dice. And they can't lose Genji here. It's actually kind of funny. They lose Jimmy, and then a second later, they just turn in. They're just like, alright, we got this now. They turn in, get the web weavers. Now it's just a question of how well the red team can defend against this. Both teams have level 7 talent as they're now kicking in. For Johanna, that means that we're getting conviction. So a bit easier to just move in, move out of team fights, for example. And all the way at the top, we're now having the next little move for wall number 1. So they're trying to force up against this. The defense is ready, though. And Mei is interrupting them where she can. Another play for Mei over here. Yeah, she is tanky. Damn. Ice block there. So she's still alive. Wasting their time a little bit. Defense is looking strong at the top lane. Over in the middle, though, the wall has already fallen. And Genji isn't looking too hot. He can't do all that much. He's going to tap the fountain here. Trying to help Rhaegar out a bit too, but still needs to be very careful with this, as we have the flank coming in as well. But overall, the defense is not too bad. Overall, talking about defense, they've been doing a good job on this. Walls have fallen, not a single fort has taken serious damage though. So that's a bit of a win for Team Rip, honestly. It's 50 gems that were invested by the Exodia stack that were okay, but it wasn't too crazy. Now, the question still, when is the red team able to try and go for their own attempt at taking a fort down here? They are getting closer and closer to their own turn-in. They only need 17 of the gems that they're currently holding. And Krankle alone could already make that happen. And does! Jimmy's too late. Jimmy comes in just a moment too late. So now the red team gets their own set of web weavers. At the bot lane, who's going to take the camp? Genji is not ready for this. No, that's 25 gems. And they're losing them. 25 gems. Krankle wants to grab them. Genji moved in, at least recovered a few, but this is a double whammy right there. This is doubly a problem. This is actually 3 ways that it's a problem. Point number 1, you're losing gems. Point number 2, you're a hero down as you're trying to push with the web weavers. Point number 4, it gave additional experience to the blue team who are now going to hit an early level 10. It's a tiny window, but it's a window that's really important when we're talking about the defense on this. So, yep. This one is a bit wild. Highly unfortunate for the red team, but at least they can now still try to take the walls out. But the idea would, of course, have been to do way more than that. At least damage the forts. Fantastic, on the other hand, for Exodia stack. And they are looking at the next kill. They're going for Sven now. Root him in place. There's the bunker, and he even gets an Ancestral. Rhaegar is not joking around here. Better safe than sorry. Throws out the play immediately and just saying, alright boys, let's just make sure that we're not losing another one. 19 stacks for Johanna, just point that out real quickly. So very, very good progress for Jojo with those rotations. Benny is doing really well here. So yeah, he's getting a lot of this and it's going to help. Especially if he is going to be diligent throughout the game with it, it's going to help a lot to keep the focus of Johanna from Malfurion. So they're going to be able to do a lot here with this. But then, either way, now with the next turn in around the corner for Exodia stack, they would of course have an opportunity to do even more damage, and maybe this time finally also take one of the forts out. Genji already has to retreat here. It's not really a kill heavy game up to now. We have 1 kill each. So 1 kill on each side, as the blue team is starting to take control over the middle of the map. I mean, they're taking full control over the middle here. could potentially go for a turn-in soon. And are trying, actually. They are 7 short, so if Hazu is able to turn the gems in, then that's more than enough. Gets interrupted though by Krankle. Connects another couple of shots on the other hand. Yeah, Blessed Shield is out on the retreat. They're trying to re-engage. Genji needs to zip out. Krankle also low. Has to ice block. Bunker is out to help and does. But still, they're all low and there's going to be multiple kills most likely. Genji has the Swift Strike back up so he escapes. But Mei has been eliminated. So Mei is down. Blue team should now be able to turn in. And it is the Exodia stack starting to take some control here. Genji also with 28 gems has to be very, very careful that it doesn't go too deep. Can't lose those just now. Web Beavers again going to be taken. In addition to that, Mercenary Camp coming through the mid lane. So that's going to be another big one. Trying to ensure that they're getting the Mercenary Camp here as well. Just line that up with those Web Weavers. And hope to take down a couple of these forts for good this time. We have 28,000 damage for Tracer. Junkrat is easy top damage in the game though, with the 33,000 that he already accumulated. Push at the top, being set up. Jimmy is the only one, by the way, that died for Exodia stacks so far. Now, we have on 24 stacks now with the Behemoth armor, 27 stacks for Jojo. But now, oh, the Blessed Shield. Not even sure if that was needed, but they wanted Junkrat and they wanted him bad. The gems are recovered by Rhaegar, but that's still a kill, and that means that one of the big damage dealers that has the AoE for the team to help with defense is now gone. That's a huge problem for Team Rip. They lost their bottom fort already. The one in the middle is taking severe damage, and at the top lane, this one is not looking too hot either. I think they're losing a lot here. They might lose additional heroes too. Mei gets attacked, comes in with the snowball, has to ice block this out. A lot of gems have been recovered by the red team, but that doesn't mask the amount of resources that are losing, specifically, of course, structures. All the forts have either been damaged or taken out. Down at the bottom of the map, even the wall on the keep is now taking damage. And in the middle, they're all moving back in. The heal from Rhaegar saves Genji for now, but it doesn't change the fact that another fort will either fall or barely survive here. So, great job by them. Well done, and yep, that is a huge win for the blue team. They've taken out all the forts. They are essentially taking control of the middle of the map now. Since not a single fountain is standing any longer to be used as a retreat point and to give them at least some resources in regards to health, mana, some safety with the forts. So reaching those turn-in points is going to be much, much harder for them compared to what Exodia stack can do from here on out. They haven't lost a single fort yet, so it's much easier for them. Nice turn-in though from Genji. Very nice turn-in. He's been holding a lot of gems, and if you are somebody that likes to dive into the opponent's backline, you really benefit from not being too afraid of maybe dying. But if you die with 40-50 gems, that's always a huge disaster for the team. So him turning in is actually a big deal just for his own gameplay. And there comes the next turn-in, and they are able to grab it. Now, there are problems with this. The level 16 talent that is so close for Exodia stack is a big one. Can the red team really do enough here? We'll see. First of all, they're having a problem with Mei. Even the snowball didn't work out. But Mei gets out. Hazu also on the run. Lots of ults being used here. And the blue team locked in the boss during all of this. So boss got locked in. We have the Web Weavers at the same time. 16 is also on the board. Cooldown reduction on 13 for Jimmy has now been added to the synergy that we have with the level 16 talent for Paint Them Red. And this is honestly not really looking all that great for Team Rip. Once again, they find themselves in a situation where they A, have to face a boss, B, have lost the momentum that the objective was supposed to get them, and are just not able to catch up with an opponent that is now running a talent advantage over them again. So there's just a lot of disadvantages that they have to deal with. And it's going to take them a while to get to level 16 talents before they can start to take proper fights again against their opponent. So for Exodia stack, everything here is going really, really well. They're playing this out super nicely. They are moving from one advantage to another. They're always just adding more building blocks to this, in the hopes of getting another win and therefore a bit closer to a victory in the best of 5. With all the gems that the team has been holding, they can go for the next turn in. By the way, Team Rip also still has enough gems to turn in as well. So when it comes to turn-ins and the amount of gems that the teams have been holding, they're still fairly even. We haven't seen that many kills in the game. 4 kills in total at the 13-minute mark. It's nothing too crazy. But, yeah. We have over here Jimmy still taking the next camp, as the blue team is now getting Web Weaver. So it's again that double hit through the middle. Genji waiting down at the bottom, hoping that the team can engage. But it's Junkrat that finds himself in trouble and will have to retreat here. Benny is also covering all of the bases, making sure that nobody is able to flank at any point. They are actually the ones trying to see if they can maybe set a flank up now and get a kill here. But all the lanes are now being pushed out in the hopes of them moving straight in for a keep. Lick on Mei, and that's the early Ancestral already out. Genji has to X-Strike away, gets hit, and maybe saved. Whoa! That was close, my friend. Good moves by Rhaegar with that healing cleanse that he got. Dino's just zipping around them the entire time. Bottom keep is about to take an enormous amount of damage. This one is going to fall, and in the middle there's a good chance that they're going to lose another one. At a minimum, they're going to take massive damage here. But the red team is attempting to engage. We've got Jimmy again in the back. Here comes the Avalanche. They need to kill. They need to focus. They need to try and take him out here. If they're already making that move, but it's not happening. The bottom keep has already fallen, and the Web Weavers are on the core now. As we have Blaze engaging again, looking for the stun, not finding it. Instead, Junkrat is low. The focus on Rhaegar. The root, the drag, the kill. Rhaegar is gone, and that is starting to be an utter disaster for Team Rip. The bunker on the ground, but the keep in the middle is losing hit points as well. And that is Mei gone. She's eliminated. Blaze follows, and this might just spell out the end of game number 3. Genji looking for a kill to at least take Bad Benny down, and she just can't make it happen. So that only leaves Junkrat as a defender. The second keep has already been destroyed, and this is game. They're going to lose it right here. It's a 2-1 lead for Exodia Stack. 68,000 damage for Tracer. Dino with an absolute stellar performance here in the third game of the series, as Exodia Stack locks in a victory on Tomb of the Spider Queen and secures themselves a lead in the best of 5. GG, well played. Map number 4. So it is match point. The Exodia Stack is in the lead after a victory on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Now we're heading into Cursed Hollow to figure out if they can clutch the series and qualify for the playoffs, or if we're gonna go to the 5th map. Quick reminder, there is a loser's bracket here. Whichever team loses this particular match drops down into the lower bracket and has another shot. We're currently in Group A, and Team Rip has been doing well. I would argue better than a lot of people expected going up against such a tough opponent, but they are still a bit behind right now. Also, there is a pattern emerging here. With Jimmy, Exodia Stack wins. Without Jimmy, Exodia Stack is losing. So we'll see how this one works out. That's gonna be quite fun. So let's have a bit of a look. Now, as we're heading into this, Sylvanas gets banned first. As usual, the reminder, typical draft, no restrictions, everything's still working out quite nicely. We have Abathar banned out, which is already sad. I'm not really a fan of this. Give us the slug. Even though I wouldn't mind a Viking game either. Also, a quick reminder again, guys, if you want to support the stream, if you want to support the efforts to host more tournaments and Heroes of the Storm, please consider to support the stream on patreon.com/Khaldor. Huge shout out to all of the supporters that are already doing this. All the coverage that we've now provided over the last 6-7 years, ever since Blizzard stopped investing into esports, would have absolutely not been possible without you. Honestly, without that, I would have had to move over to something horrible like League of Legends or whatnot, and comment that there. So big shout out to all of the Patreon supporters, and if you are interested in helping to keep the esports scene and Heroes of the Storm alive, it would be awesome if you would consider to support the channel there. It's the best way to do it. If you watch it on YouTube right now, you have a link in the description, and if not, you can just check out the link on screen, of course. Now, with that said, with our esports games at hand, Vikings get also banned. So what I just said, that I wouldn't mind another Viking game, has kind of backfired now too, because Exodia Stack looked at all the games and were like, we didn't like that Abathar, we didn't like those Vikings, how about we ban all the fun heroes and see what happens. I would love for Team Rip to just come in and be like, you know what, then we're playing Cho'Gall. But I think that's more so the cats that tend to do that, and not really Team Rip. Dehaka, of course, as a first pick, so we have all our global in, and here comes Dino with Reyna. I can guarantee you that we will see Reyna bans in this tournament. At some point, he is going to be banned against Exodia stack. Even if other teams ignore the hero, their affinity for him is going to be a big one. So, they go full StarCraft, by the way, with a Fire, Bat, and a Marine. Blaze has been added as well. The red team, as I said before, they prioritized having Dehaka here. They want to have the global aspect, because Tolo is, after all, a big map, so you can have a big impact with him. Krankle obviously likes to also play Muradin, so he takes him once more. And Brightwing has fallen off a bit. Doesn't get played as much anymore as a few patches ago. And again, with the patches, of course, mostly small balance changes that we're getting. But, yeah. I would love it if at some point they would make an April's Fool's joke when they're announcing like a huge content patch. I think they would never have the balls to actually do that. But just imagine if Blizzard came in at some point on April's Fools and was like, alright guys, we've heard all of your cries, we are coming in, we are adding 2 new heroes in the next 3 months, and we also decided to come in with an additional game mode, something like that. They make a big announcement out of it, it would be amazing. I mean, you couldn't really pull it off as a company, but just imagine the eruption of copium within a scene that is already full of copium here, every single time that they just see a news line or a news item from Blizzard regarding heroes. It would be amazing. So you would have, on the one hand, when it's revealed that it was just an April's Fool's joke, an enormous amount of hate coming their way. Then again, they're used to this by now. And the rest would just sit there and just laugh about it. So, yeah. But either way, we got Garrosh and Ana. They have actually done this a lot with Jimmy. They have played this a lot when they play Jimmy. You have tons of stuff that you can use here. Not only just the healing capabilities, but also just trying to stun heroes out, sleep them, whoever tries to make a move for Reyna. So Ana is starting to make a bit of a comeback as the support as well, and has done well here. So we've even seen, and I talked about this, Jojo starting to adjust the level 10 ability again, when Ana and Reyna were played on the same team and going into Falling Sword. Falling Sword was something that against Ana was regularly played back in the days, and you just tried to fully connect with her. But then at the same time, you also have to, of course, look at Jimmy, who doesn't have an escape tool either. So if you start to engage with Falling Sword, you are guaranteed more or less a connect at least, and then you can continue to play from there. So if this particular combo is being played more as we continue, then I could see that make a comeback as well, way more regularly. Final pick after we got Ophia and Maiev. We have Thrall for the blue team. With that, we're heading into match point number 1. The map is Cursed Hollow. It is match point in our winner bracket final. Match point number 1 to be exact. We have over on the left Exodia stack with Hazu on Thrall. We got Yasu on Ana. Bloodcool is playing Blaze for the team. Dino is back on Reyna. So again, he is that dedicated Reyna player unless he plays something where they need him on a different hero. But Benny is playing Garrosh, and over on the right side, it is Team Rip with Azzy on Ophia. That's actually the second time that they're playing Ophia. They really, really like her as a damage dealer. Higa on Maiev, Krankle on Muradin, we got Vasilisco on Brightwing, and Sven is playing Dehaka. So, let's go! Level 1, as usual, the ace in the whole of them. As down at the bottom of the map, the next attack keeps coming, or the first one, they're already looking to take one of the towers down here. And yep, this one is going to be eliminated very, very quickly. Little that they can do about it. Brightwing and Ophia both down. That's the problem when you overstay, when you're staying a little too long. This is always the problem. You're going for a tower in the early game. A lot of teams do that with Greyman. You do that with Greyman and Nuburak when you have Sylvanas. And it's not really a bad sword. It's a really nice play if you're just coming in and you're trying to get some damage connected. And usually it works nicely. The issue just comes in when you all of a sudden think, hey, maybe we can take that tower down completely. Let's stay a little bit longer. Because if your opponent reacts properly, like we just saw from Exodia stack, then all that happens is that you get flanked and you lose multiple heroes. And then the entire endeavor wasn't worth it anymore. So normally what you really want is to just take half of a tower down And that is essentially it. But over here, that hasn't happened. So a little bit unfortunate for the red team. It started off well, and then it ended in disaster. And now we just have to figure out how they're going to recover from that. Obviously, a really nice start now for their opponent, for the Exodia stack with the 2 kills. They had a little more freedom in the early game. They also have a slight lead in experience. Nothing too fancy yet, but of course something that they can build upon and will try to do. Over on the top right, a couple of camps are now about to be taken. Same happening from the blue team with the first tribute spawning later on at the bottom of the map. So we're going to have that bot lane spawn for it, and we'll see if the teams are immediately making a move for it, or if instead we're just going to see them try and drag it out. But on level 4, we now have typical talents once again. Frostwolf pack for the stacks on Thrall's side. Jimmy has, as usual, gone into the behemoth armor. Nice little fight here, with Maiev being fairly low and has to be careful because now we have Blaze moving in. He gets the stun connected, but not with Maiev herself. Benny! They go for Brightwing and they burn the Fruit Fly to the ground. But Jimmy gets also caught and killed. Orphea went in deep. Oh, and dodges! Oh my god! How is Orphea still alive? They need healing and they need it quickly, but Brightwing is again dead and useless. That was something. Not only the kill against Jimmy, but then Orphea surviving, especially as Blaze came in with the jet propulsion. That was pretty big. So, nicely done. Sweet little play and good control. Very good hero control, actually, from Orphea. So, kudos. That was a big one. 3 kills to 1 regardless. So that half-level lead that we spoke about earlier still persists for the blue team. And as the tribute is now up at the bottom of the map, everybody is centering their aggression more around the bot lane. Obviously in an attempt to slowly work towards locking that one in and get the lead on the objective itself. Level 7 talents are already available. Thrall, by the way, is sitting at 3 stacks on his level 4. Has now Ancestral Wrath, as Jimmy has gone for the Unstable Compound. And talking about Jimmy, can they get a Stormbolt here? Nope. Too short, but they are trying for the lick. And Jimmy is isolated and is gonna fall. Dino is dead again. Thrall at least completed his quest, so I suppose that's the good news. But that is the second time that Jimmy has now been eliminated. And this is exactly the one thing that we talked about the entire time when we talked about Jimmy making a reappearance in the meta. This is his weakness. If you can mitigate it, if you can play around it, then he is a very reliable damage dealer that you can utilize, but this is obviously the problem that they have to deal with right now. And they're doing the best that they can to try and keep him safe, but if he gets caught like that in a rotation or on the map, then you're just having a huge issue. So 3 kills to 2 is what we're now getting. We have the tribute also locked in by Team RIP as a result. And yeah, all the way up at the top. Still our 1v1 that is being played out here. Brightwing with level 7 and the critical mist. Jimmy's in 6 stacks now for behemoth armor. If you're able to get a couple of kills against him, then obviously one of the side results is also that you are slowing down his progress on those stacks, and that makes him a bit easier to kill later on as well. So just compounding on that, which is always pretty neat. And with that said, now down at the bottom of the map, the first boss is getting some attention. So they're trying to take boss number 1 out. Red team has sniffed that out and is trying to contest it. So they're coming in for that. But it's actually going to be a big fight. And the boss is at half HP, so they want this thing. Thrall is gone. This might be the chance for Team RIP to steal the boss away and get themselves a bit of a lead. The Haka isn't even here. Hasn't even moved in right away, but is now joining them to make sure that they're going to grab this one. They have also level 10, just a little bit faster, so not only did they close the experience gap, but they even surpassed it, and that was sweet. Taking that boss is big, and instantly at the bottom they go for a kill, and Jimmy is dead again. Dino is currently getting a bit murdered. That's 3 deaths already on Reyna, and it's not really going well for him at all. They're following it up with a kill on Thrall, so that's Hazu eliminated. pretty easily. That's the fort at the bot lane gone. Not only do they have to deal with the boss, but also with the siege giants. And now we're talking about a 2-kill advantage, about a level lead, about the first fort destroyed, and even more problems coming their way in the form of a potential second boss to be claimed at the top. The second tribute has been taken by Team Rip. So the red team, they are doing everything that they can to force game number 5 currently. I mean, everything that they can. They are really trying to do their best to just absolutely slaughter them here. And, well, let's just say that it's looking pretty decent for now. So, we'll see. But as it stands, I mean, what do we have? We have, right now, on the left side, one of the camps potentially locked in just a little bit. We have all the way up at the top side, already Hazops dealing, or setting up to deal with the boss. He needs, of course, a few more teammates in order to really pull that off. Problem is that there's another tribute, and if the channel comes through right now, and it doesn't because Ana popped her ult for it, but just imagine if they got the tribute at that point in time. It would have been an utter disaster. That timing would have been so perfect to make sure that they get maximum value out of that boss. So really good interrupt, an important one. Nice save on Muradin as he escapes. That boss still doing damage. They're really working it here currently, but the fort will be saved. So the fort is something that they at least are able to save for now. In the middle, the next attack is already coming in, as they are hoping to maybe take the wall out here, do at least some damage. It's not going to be anything too nasty, but still. And the blue team is, well, trying to recover might maybe exaggerate a bit too much, but they are trying to stabilize again. That much definitely is true. So, yeah, they're trying to stabilize as much as they can do here. And it's a little bit tricky for them, because now they're behind by more than a level. And they just need... I mean, if they are hitting later levels, if they get proper 5-man team fights, I think this could be a different story. But one of the issues that they had is that most of the time in the last couple of fights, Jimmy was very quickly isolated, maybe was caught out of position as well. So they need the straight up battle in order to do something. One time they were attacked while they were trying to take a boss. So all of the fights were not really in their favor, which was a bit of a tricky one. But yeah, let's see what they can do on this one. Already we're having the attack come together. They're going for Thrall again, and he's gone. Bunker on the ground, but Ophia gets killed. She was the main damage dealer for the team, so maybe now a chance for Exodia stack to turn this back around. Jimmy is getting lots of damage, but it's still Garrosh that is getting killed. And Jimmy alone is not going to be able to cut this. I mean, yeah, he has this level 13 talent, which is nice. But now they're cursed 2, so that's 7 kills to 4. And it doesn't really change the fact that they're absolutely starting to struggle here. This is a massive, massive problem for the blue team. They're losing full control of this game. We have Dehaka now in the middle of the map, who is going to do his best to absolutely obliterate the next fort. With the curse in play, the top side fort is going to fall 100%. The one at the bottom of the map has been taken out earlier already, so that's not even a factor any longer. And yeah, it's just tough times all around for them. There's again the disc from IF as they're going for the next big fight. It seems though that they might get a kill on Brightwing, and nope. Maiev also gets out with very low HP. Muradin gets the Avatar out, but he falls eventually. Muradin goes down. Maybe they overstepped just a little bit after all in the attempt to take the fort, which to be fair, they got. Even the keep at the bottom of the map has taken damage. So that's the next big one. They were able to do some work here. And up at the top, even the wall on the second keep has now nearly been destroyed. So the defense is at least holding. They didn't lose any keeps. They only lost their forts. But they're also still behind by a level and by a talent as a result. So the momentum goes to Team Rip regardless. But it was mega important to get Muradin killed in that last fight and just shut the aggression down a bit. If that hasn't happened, then this would have probably been the beginning of the end. But as it stands, once level 16 is available for them, this could be a different story. So far, that's obviously not the case, so we'll have to see what they can do here.
once again, we already have Dehaka moving back in with the team. Half a level to be bridged for the Exodia stack to get the next talent here. The damage output that we have for now still firmly in the hands, overall speaking. Actually, not even so much. Thrall is at 26,000 damage. Jimmy is at 28k. There are good numbers for the red team too, but for them it's more about the coordination. They don't have bigger numbers. They just are able to coordinate their attacks a little bit better and get the heroes killed. That's something that the other team has been failing to do. So 5 kills to 7 all in all. Now with 16 ready, this is the chance to fight back. You got some synergy with Thrall, for example. His level 4 and his level 16 talent just vibing quite nicely. In addition to that, we also have Paint and Red. So yeah, not too shabby. Let's see how much further they can now go with an even talent here in these fights. They want to go for the boss again. This time it might actually work out. Also because there's obviously a boss taken at the top side too. So the top keep for the blue team is going to be in some trouble. That is a given at this point. They're going to take some damage there. They might even lose the entire thing. But at least they are also able to take one at the bottom of the map. The next tribute is also spawning in 14 seconds. There's a realistic chance that they're going to be able to pick that one up. If they can, that would be good news. But the red team hasn't lost a single fort yet. So now that we are 12 minutes in, nearly 13, this boss is likely going to destroy the fort at the bottom of the map. But I'm a bit worried about what's happening at the top. Down here, though, big fight now. And Dino is still alive for now. The sustain working out for him. Thrall, on the other hand, in real trouble. Maiev wants the kill. Can't quite get it. Thrall being pushed back in and gets saved by Garrosh, who himself dies just a second later. The battle not over yet, and with another tether from Maiev, it spells out the end of Blaze. And this is starting to be an absolute disaster for Exodia stack. Not only are they losing their keep at the top lane, but at the bottom of the map, the red team is now super active as well. Could either go for the keep, maybe go a bit further even, but they should take some structures out here, and the pings are already coming. The problem for them is they don't have a minion wave, so they would have to tank the entire damage, and they are apparently not willing to do that. Instead, it's a play for the tribute, but it's starting to look extremely rough for Exodia stack. So, yeah. 20 is half a level away for Team Rip. Half a level away for level 20, so they are in an amazing position right now. Only one that hasn't died yet on the blue team is, by the way, Ana. Thanks to the positioning in the back, of course. But all the forts are gone, one keep is eliminated, and level 20 is around the corner with roughly a 2-level gap. So this could well be the first game where the boys in blue lose it with Jimmy. Yeah, this might actually be the first one right here. Now, there is a third tribute coming up, and bad news for Exodia stack, they don't have level 20 talents. And also, this would only be the second one, so it's still fine, but you are starting to get in some really dicey territory if you give another tribute now up to the opponent. I mean, in this case, they will have to. But I am not 100% convinced that when the next tribute spawn, they're already going to be ready with level 20 talents themselves. And at the bottom of the map, we already have some poke going around, as Sophia decided that she's going to start some long-ranged attack to attempt and take some hit points off the keep to make it easier to lock that one in as well before storm talents are available for their opponents. And the rest of the team is now joining up too. Finally, have some minion waves to support this. Catapults are in and siege giants. And the poke is there. Dehaka is at the top and is pushing the next one out. So, yeah, the action here is real, but they are still giving up for it for now. Their tribute, on the other hand, once that this spawns, that's a different story. This is where we're going to have it. And they're already setting up a bit around it now. Sleep dart, jet propulsion, flip, Maiev, low, Brightwing with a heal. Dehaka comes in and starts to isolate the target. They go for Garrosh again, and he moves into the bunker to cleanse the isolation out and escape. Was a nice effort by Exodia stack, and definitely worth taking the risk. But let's not forget, this was all against the level 20 opponent. The reason why they were willing to still try it was because they hoped to isolate and kill Maiev before the rest of the team was able to join up and help out, which wasn't quite the case. But the battle is, at least for now, over, and they didn't lose anybody. They didn't kill anyone either, though. And here comes the tribute. And they have level 20, but it's a bit too late. The channel has already started. They're nowhere near in position to fight for this. It's another curse against Exodia stack. And this might just be the end of the road in game number 4 for them. It's match point number 1 for the blue team, but it's not looking good at all. Bot lane gets attacked. Thrall connects a wolf, but of course that keep is on borrowed time. And here in the middle, it doesn't look too hot either for them. So they're likely going to lose all of their keeps. They could lose the game here. Bottom keep is already gone. The only thing that could potentially bring the blue team back is a huge team fight victory right now. If they win the team fight and get some kills, that would be the chance to potentially gain some momentum. But even that is, of course, distance hope. They're trying, but Brightwing is just healing everything up here. They have the mobility too. There's catapults on the core already that are removing the shield pretty quickly. Bosses up in a few seconds, and they're already on their way. They want to lock this in immediately, and a 17-minute boss, given the situation on the ground, would most likely end this game. So, yeah, Benny is moving slowly forward here, but I think they're going to be too late to the party. He's double checking, but he's not going to be there in time. Boss is claimed. If they can't get a kill right now, then it's just lights out. They need to win this fight. They need to win it quickly. And it looks like the opposite is going to happen. Benny is in trouble. Maybe they can get a kill. They're trying. This was out as well. They're going for Yasu. Yasu gets attacked here. Crankle a bit low. Brightwing to the rescue. But it is Anna that dies first. Granny is gone. And that's the end of Blaze. They lose Thrall. It's a triple. It's a quad kill. It's a 5-man team wipe. And this is game. We are going to game number 5. We're going the distance in our first series of the day as Team Rip is taking out the Exodia stack. Once again, they take it on Cursed Hollow. Big victory from the red team, and they are forcing the final map of the best of 5 series in the winner bracket final. GG and well played.
Well, we're going the distance. Game number 5. Brexit Holdout is the map. So, not really the map that I expected as our finisher, but hey, I'll take it. This should be a fun one. It is wild to me, though, how well Team Rip is playing here. That they are able to fight back is kind of crazy. Now, they've been behind twice. They always clawed their way back in. The question is, can they break that cycle and now take the lead? You know, win the second one in a row and claim victory here to advance to the playoffs and send the Exodia stack into the losers bracket. That's obviously the big question at this point. Now, this was also the first time that Jimmy was played by the Exodia stack and they lost. Now, just pointing that out, so it's not a 100% win guarantee for them. But our little trend that we observed earlier is apparently not correct. So Jimmy is not an auto win for the blue team. But what are they going to play here in the first place? I mean, obviously when you're playing on Braxis, you have 2 lanes to contest. You have at the same time also wave clear that you desperately need in order to deal with the Zerg waves and to push this back. Essentially, the entire series has been reduced to a best of 1 at this point. And we have bans on Junkrat and on Sylvanas. You normally, I mean, the standards, there's a couple of strategies when you're talking about Braxis. One of the strategy, which is countered by Zarya being banned out, is this massive, strong 4-man with Garrosh, Zarya, and then just taking the bot lane. Another one is you want to normally have heroes that are very mobile. It's one of the reasons why Sylvanas and also Junkrat are getting banned here. Anything that can traverse terrain allows you to move between the lanes very quickly and out-rotate your opponent oftentimes, or just simply gank up on the solo laner that is at the top. Rexa has now been chosen as that solo laner, but it's one of the reasons why we oftentimes see Muradin as a tank on this map. We oftentimes see Genji here. As a healer, we have seen Karazim, for example, played for one of those reasons. And oh, Sven goes for an oldie but goldie. I like it. We have his Samuro again. That's one of the cool things about Sven. His Samuro plays are actually pretty sick.
he's the one that plays the Vikings for them, as we've seen in the earlier series, and now we have Samuro too. So I like this already. I mean, this is all great. This is a fantastic one right off the start, so good stuff. Garrosh gets played for them, regardless of the fact that Zarya is banned out, so they don't want to go for that particular combo. But Garrosh, in and of itself, obviously already strong. And Dino is still going Protoss. Sorry, he's still going StarCraft, but he's going Protoss this time. So no Terran Marine for him. They could still decide that they're going to go for Jimmy. Chances that that happens, very, very low considering the map. So they're moving away from this a bit. And again, I also want to highlight this, that game number 4 clearly showed the weakness of Jimmy. You can play around it, you can draft around it, but that's the problem. He gets jumped, you have to sustain him somehow through that attack, and in some of the games that the Exodia stack has been playing, Jimmy survived, and then the fight turned against the opponent. Now in the last game, even with everything that they threw on him to try and keep him alive, he died, and all of a sudden the fight turns against the blue team. So it's really like this one trigger moment in the battles that you have to observe whenever he gets played. Now, as is, we have the final bans coming through. Gul'dan, he would have supported the wave clear, or supplied the wave clear for Team Exodia stack, so he gets banned out. Maiev, after the last game, also gets removed, so another thing for her. And we get Ana, and we get Orphea. They really like Orphea. And as much as I am very certain that at some point Jimmy is probably going to be banned out against the Exodia stack, I bet you dollars to donuts that Orphea will eventually get banned when Team Rip gets played. Not every single time, but this is going to be a thing where Orphea is just now being so prevalent in the way that they play the game that people are going to attempt to take it away from her. Cassia, first time in the tournament that she gets played, and we get Lucio together with her for the heals. And that leaves us with our final pick for the final map in the best of 5 series here at the winner bracket final of Group A. And what are they grabbing for their second damage? Melee would also, of course, be an option. Should probably be, considering that Samuro is going to be their side laner here. So we have Muradin and Rexa on the other side, and here it's going to be Garrosh, Samuro, and we get Alarak. Nice. Let's go, everybody. 5th and final map in the series between Exodia stack and Team Rip. The final game in the series. Who moves on to the playoffs and who drops down into the lower bracket, into the losers bracket? That's the question to be answered here on the left side for the blue team. What we're getting is Dino on Phoenix. So he still stayed within the StarCraft universe, but he swapped heroes around a bit. We have Hazu on Rexa, Bloodcool on Cassia going for Thunderstroke for some additional stacks with Bad Benny on Muradin, and Yazu on Lucio. To the right side of the map, their opponents, very resilient, with AZ again on Orphea. We have Sven on Samuro, Basilisco is playing Ana, we got Higao on Alarak, and Krankle with Garrosh. Okay, showdown time. Who wins the series? Who takes it? Who moves on and who has to go through the lower bracket in order to make it to the playoffs? Tournament has been off to a fantastic start. Some really great games already that we got here. And yep, the party continues. So, at the top, a bit of an attack happening as the red team is trying to get a quick and cheeky early kill. Also, of course, upsetting the usual balance a little bit. I mean, top lane is normally the 1v1 solo lane, and I suppose it's going to turn into that in just another moment once again. But for now, there is still a lot of aggression centered around it, with essentially everybody moving topside for just a bit. Now, Alarak is going to try and get the Sadism stacks, of course, up and get the damage out here. And Samuro, Sven will be up to a lot of shenanigans throughout the course of this game if he is allowed to. His Samuro is very, very solid. He's been showcasing it in tons of matches, tons of different maps. And he can definitely have a massive impact here and just go for structures straight away, but also chase down the opponent's backline in those team fights. We have him on level 1 with Way of Illusion. Bot lane is now slowly getting established as the usually foreman that we traditionally get to see. At least that's what I would expect. We still have some heroes at the top trying to go for mercenary camps and lock those in first. But already over here, the next attack. Oh, here you go. Goes down. Alarak eliminated. And they're trying for the double kill. Krankle, nice play against Dino. And he gets a kill with it. Nice. Yeah, Dino a little bit outplayed here. Get wrecked, my friend. That was a neat little move from Team Rip. So first it was Alarak that falls. And then we just have the cool play from Garrosh. Baits them in. Gets the kill and just shuts it down right there. What looked like a 2 versus 0 kill situation was turned by Alarak into a 1-for-1 trade. So, yep, very, very well done. Well executed. And now with the objective up, this is of course where we're going to start and see a little bit of action from the teams on it, attempting to get that first Zerg wave, or the bigger Zerg wave, is probably what I should say. So, yeah, it's going to be all about grabbing those beacons and hold them for as long as they possibly can. Cassia is also doing a decent amount with her stacking progress. She's at 16, 17, very early in the game. So if these skirmishes continue, she's going to have a fun time with them. Yeah, again the attack on Dino, and he's dead again. Dino's getting farmed here. Game number 4 was already a bit rough for him, as he lost Jimmy way too many times, and now they are killing him also on Phoenix. But at least there's a counter kill on Samuro, so it's not a total disaster. Samuro gets killed as well as Sven is chased down, and with him being eliminated... Oh, but they go for Murden. It is... Now it's a bloodbath. I mean, 3.5 minutes in and we already have 5 kills. Misha dies too. So there is a lot of carnage going around all of a sudden, as everyone is going ruthlessly for one hit and attack after the next. Orphea is dead. They're dying on both sides continuously, turning Brax's holdout into a graveyard. So this is... Now it's getting a bit crazy. But we have control on the beacon now for Team Rip. So they have full control over both of the beacons at this point, starting to lock in some additional time on it, and they're already at 56%, which is pretty strong, of course. So no matter what happens, they will have a fairly decent chunk on the Zerg wave. Garrosh surviving again, and while the blue team is attempting to take control down here at the bottom of the map, at the top, there's another gank attempt already happening. They're moving in on Rexa and they want Cassia. Miss out on both of those kills, but very dangerous regardless. 25 stacks for Cassia at this point. Murden also roaming around. You can, by the way, see that mobility with Lucio is still a huge factor. We touched on that subject when it came to the draft earlier, just a bit. Misha gets taken out again. Peter has been informed, and consequences will appear for Team Rip should they advance to the next round. So there's definitely a fine brewing in their in their future. Well, that's just not okay. I mean, I can barely stand it just watching this. So now things have calmed down slightly. Calmed down just a little bit. Top side, they're trying to take control. Rexa is going down to the bottom of the map. He saw what Phoenix was doing up at the top and was saying, like, hold my bear. Moved down to the bottom beacon and took that quickly. Now they're going for Crankland. They might actually lock in the kill on Garrosh. Gets a bit of sustain. Not enough. And he falls. So more momentum all of a sudden for the Exodia stack. They take down Alarak, but they lose Lucio. Still, the stack's gone for Alarak on Sadism, even though he didn't have too many yet. Still a win, but losing Cassia, of course, a moment later, which slows down her own stacking process, is still a bit of a nuisance for them. But again, the party here just keeps continuing. Everybody is doing what they can to finally lock in that first objective and get a big lead, but they are so even, it's nuts. It's currently 58% on both sides. The blue team finally able to get a double control again to grab themselves a little bit more out of this. But it's just fight after fight after fight. Which is great for Cassia. I mean, she is stacking. Girls is going places. I mean, we are now 6.5 minutes in and she's already at 33. Well, not too bad. Bottom of the map, Sven locked into his 1v1 against Rexa. So essentially, they swapped the traditional lanes out. Blue team looking for the next Stormbolt connect, and they get it, but there's no real threat to Alarak, no damage to that there. Nice combo though against Lucio. He's low, Ophia comes in, Lucio's dead. Lucio is dead, but what about Ophia? She gets attacked and gets healed by Ana. Here comes level 10. That gives us the Illusion Master right away, and we also get Counter-Strike, plus the Eye of Horus. So for now, at least, the red team has taken a small advantage over their opponents, and are going to try to use that to their advantage as best as possible. With a double control on the beacons, they can attempt to catch up again, but it doesn't really change the fact that, of course, they have fallen behind a bit. It doesn't really matter at this point, honestly. Once that the wave is taken, both teams will have a nearly equally strong wave. Cassia goes down again, so does Ophia. This is nuts. 14 kills, 7 minutes into the game. I feel like we already have more kills here in those few minutes than we had in all of the previous games for them. Lucio wants to kill and doesn't get it after Garrosh delivers him on the other side of the wall. The objective is in 100% Zerg wave for Team Rip, so their wave is just a little bit stronger. But what is this game now? They were saving all of the kills for the final map, as it seems, and it's just ridiculous. 15 kills in total now. They're defending at the bottom of the map. Top side, there's a huge amount of Zergs that are just now barreling down on the fort and will most likely take it down too. This thing looks like it just doesn't stand a chance. And down at the bottom of the map with the defense already accomplished, they could now push for the structure here or just try and move topside to attempt this wave to do just a tiny little bit more. And, well, they're already on their way at the bot lane to deliver more structural damage. 120 sadism now for Alarak. The damage output for him on 20,000. Ophia's a bit ahead of him. We have Phoenix on roughly the same numbers as Muradin gets caught in attack. There comes the combo. Muradin in trouble, jumps out and makes it. Muradin survives. Ophia gets the heals as Cassia is re-engaging, stacking, dishing out damage. But everyone just retreats with no additional heroes falling. What a series. I mean, seriously, the entire series was already bananas in the first place. But now the final map is just bonkers. Things are getting wild over here. 47, 42 stacks for Cassia. A bit more reasonable right now. She was really, really fast with her stacking at the beginning of the game. Then it slowed down slightly, but she's still in pretty decent territory here. So, yeah, solid numbers for her. That hasn't changed. Camps all over the place now being grabbed by the teams as they're trying to get slightly ahead. There's a bit of an experience lead for Team Rip, but it's nothing crazy. There's nothing insane here. It's nice for them, but it's nothing to write home about or anything. So, there's that. But as it stands, we now have already Samuro doing his thing. He has more space on the map. He has a lot more space on the map, of course, that he can use. So he's just sitting at the top trying to push this out, and this is going to be a big thorn in the side of the Exodia stack. They will have to deal with this throughout the rest of the game, and if they can't catch him, then Samuro is just going to use all of that freedom that he gets by more space being available to try and take heroes out. And talking about taking heroes out and structures out, we have Phoenix now eliminated and Lucio. Ophia, she is slapping. Ophia is just crushing in this series. And I called it in the draft earlier already. She will be banned against Team Rip. Just mark my words. It has too much of an impact. They go for the boss. Boss is going to do some work. Samuro can try and take some structures out on the side. They're even engaging into this. I honestly don't know why. They're going to lose Misha. And that is just pet abuse, if anything. Misha getting destroyed, they're getting sent to her death is absolutely not okay. If you ask me, somebody should rescue her and take her away from Rek'Sai because he just doesn't appreciate her the way that she deserves. And that's just not a good thing. So, yeah, Misha is gone. So are the hopes of the blue team to get that boss, but they might still get a kill. And, well, then Ophia happens and slaps them again. Lucio is dead. And Samuro is already at the top lane, pushing for more structures. Down at the bottom of the map, the boss is, of course, now doing some work. The whole idea of the blue team was to move in, take some heroes down, and then focus on defense. But they're falling apart. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. Exodia stack is getting wrecked here. This is one of the favorites to take the tournament, not only the group. These guys have been one of the top dogs. The team that everybody expected to breeze through the group stage, and now they are on the verge of losing in the winner bracket final. double control on the beacons. Going to be 100% wave. Look at those kills coming together. Ophia with another one. The girl's unstoppable. 35,000 damage for her right now. And she is just annihilating them. Absolutely no chance here for Exodia stack. It's ridiculous. The Zerg wave is coming through the bot lane. And they're locking in level 16 already. They have a 2-level advantage over Exodia stack. It's getting crazy here. What on earth? This is nuts. Here comes the wave. There's the play. Alarak is 168 stacks now on Sadism. He has 36,000 damage as well. The keep is already gone. And they're trying to now go. They're going for the core here. That's a kill. Look at this. Ophia again murdering them. Phoenix down. Lucio down. Core already getting attacked. They're absolutely getting destroyed here. And that is a comeback in the series. This is ridiculous. What a performance. Team Rip with a win. They advanced to the playoffs and they sent the Exodia stack packing. They sent them to the losers bracket. GG.